All right. What's up, guys? If you're joining in, please let me know that you hear me loud and clear. Let me check this out. I should have set this up right here. Make sure that all right. Good. Well, all right. What's up, fight fans? And thank you for tuning in to another episode of Here Around One Sports TV. I am your host, Edwin, and we have a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. We have this Subriel Matias fight coming up in Puerto Rico on June 15th against Liam Paro. And many people that I'm starting to talk to, and I've seen a lot of YouTube channels and people commenting on this fight. A lot of people are saying that they believe that this fight is going to be a lot closer, and we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna get into that. The little Mike Tyson medical emergency on a plane. Excuse me. I want to touch on that a little bit, and a little bit on the Ryan Garcia, some of the top stories that are going on around in boxing. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the video, give the video a like, and like always, let's get right into this episode. What's up, buddy? Thank you for tuning in. How you doing out there? Um, what story do I want to cover first? All right. First of all, let's talk about the Mike Tyson little scare on the plane, right? Mike Tyson suffered a medical emergency on a plane, and they're saying that he's okay and that everything checked out fine, and that the Jake Paul Mike Tyson showdown should be on schedule. Now, for a lot of people, it grows concern. To the Asian old Mike Tyson, is he ready to go in and fight such a young, fighter as a Jake Paul? It really doesn't matter when it comes to skill at 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 this point, right? Mike Tyson's all of 58 years old. I think he could still crack, but you know, sometimes I think about this fight and I say to myself, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to see my legend take an embarrassing loss to Jake Paul's just to boost up his media boxing career, whatever you call that. And you know, in boxing circles, we all know that Jake Paul has yet to fight a real boxer. The closest thing he fought was Tyson Fury's little brother, and he really wasn't qualified to be considered as a boxer. Okay. Now he didn't have a lot of boxing experience. Neither does Jake Paul. I mean, he shouldn't jump in there with but he should be fighting guys and his own weight division. And what weight division does Jake Paul fight in? Whatever weight division he decides, right? So, look, we'll talk more about that fight. I would like to look more into Mike Tyson, see more about him, but I'm still scared and nervous for him. I mean, this is his decision. He's making this decision. He believes he's going to be the one to stop Jake Paul. So, you know, uh, what I feel about it, look, I feel a lot of different ways, but I know that Mike Tyson's not going to back out of this. I know he's not, so I'm going to leave it up to Mike, man. It's in Mike's hands. You know what I mean? So, what's up, guys? How you guys doing, man? What's up, front line? What's up, salud? Yo, Edwin, bro, can we hit the topic after? Carlos, that's an interesting topic, and right now in referee circles, right? That's a slippery slope. That's a slippery slope. Okay, for instance, Carlos, right? We watched that fight, right? And there's 5 seconds left in the fight. And this guy is getting brutalized. The referee comes in, steps in, hosts the action. All of a sudden, everybody's in an uproar, right? Okay. The fight against Taylor and uh, Julio Cesar Chavez. Julio Cesar Chavez and Taylor, yo, there was like 5 seconds left in the fight. And the referee got in and stopped the fight. Bro, you should have, for all that damage he took, if he would have stood on his feet, he wins that fight. He was going to be the first man to beat Julio Cesar Chavez that night. But the referee stopped it. Naoya Inoue hit Donito Donaire with a body shot in the World Series of Boxing. And if you would like, you can go back and watch it. Nonito Donaire did not take a knee. Nonito Donaire was hurt to the body. He cringed. He started to back up, but he didn't give the sign that, he was going to take a knee or a thing. The referee initiated that for him. He bumped in between and halted the action between the Japanese superstar Naoya Inoue and Donaire. Donaire was supposed to be finished right there and then. 2 more shots, 1 more good shot. Donaire wasn't going to get up from that right there. That fight was going to be over, right? And because of the fact that Donaire was able to sustain and last the rest of the next round, he was given the credit of like having a blueprint of beating Naoya Inoue, where in fact the referee was the one that saved them. Here's the problem. When you don't do it and a fighter dies in the ring, such in the case as Subriel Matias, and Mad Match Derechek, when you don't do your obligations as a ref, the parents, the fathers, the sisters, and the brothers, they have a tendency of looking on to someone to blame. Do you think the referees are not quick outs? Yo, you were the third man in that ring. You were the closest to my son. You couldn't see that he was taking damage like this? You couldn't stop, intervene, and do your job. Save my son's life. And when they do intervene, they're damned. So when do they should do it? When is a good rule to put in place for that a referee can come in and halt the action? That's exactly what they're doing by their own discretion. From what they see, they're the third man in the ring. And we also have to keep in mind that there is a thing called human error. Your eyes could have saw something you didn't think you saw. How many times have we saw a fight that the referee deemed it a knockdown, later went back and looked and saw, man, it wasn't a knockdown, it was a push or a trip. They make mistakes. Sometimes fighters are playing possum in a ring and they allow their eyes to roll back to give their opponent the confidence to come in and finish them. And in that second, the referee jumps in and holds in. He looks at the ref and he's like, yo, I was just going like this because I wanted him to come in. There are a lot of situations where referees are given a bad rap. And there has been referees that have done really bad officiating. We've all seen it. But how do you fix this? How do you fix a system that I believe really couldn't be fixed? If you eliminate the standing 8 count, there has to be a rule in combat sports to protect the athlete, such as in every major sport, what separates boxing from any major sports is one simple thing. This, timeout. On a basketball court, if I'm getting my ass kicked, I can call a timeout. On a football field, hockey, you name it, I can call out a timeout. Even in baseball, I can walk out to the mound and speak to my pitcher. But in boxing, you're in there. There is no timeout. Ain't no way your corner can jump up on the ropes and go, hey, you're getting your ass kicked, kid. Ref, timeout. Let me stop this. There has to be something for the fighter. Only the fighter inside the ring can feel those punches and his brain rattling around in there. You have to give him at least something to be like, hold on, wait, whoa, 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 whoa. My orbital bone is broken. My nose is pushed back over here. I need to check in with myself to see if I want to continue. Jermel Charlo fought Saul Canelo Alvarez, and had that rule, the standing 8 count, not been in effect, he could have not utilized it in his favor. It worked so much for him. Did he make it to the 12th round? Or did he get knocked out in front of his friends, family, and his kids? No, he knew he got caught with a big shot. Saul Canelo Alvarez was waiting for him to bounce off those ropes to finish him off. The young man knew for the first time in his career, if there was any time I was going to utilize that rule, it's going to be right now. He took the shot. He got up. He didn't fight any better from that, but it prevented him from an embarrassing night, from becoming a meme. So, as far as the standing 8 count goes in a rule separate to the refs are one thing, the rules are another. How the refs utilize the rules, there's always ways. There's always ways, believe me. I've seen refs talk in back of locker rooms. I've seen refs talk on interviews. I've seen refs, and one of the refs that did one of the best interviews I've ever seen a ref come out and really tell the story that most of us that are real close to the sport already knew, how the refs utilize to buy time for a fighter in the ring. They'll start to use little tricks and little ploys. They're real subtle, and to the untrained eye as a fan, you won't even catch them. That's how slick they are. They're real good, the refs, and how to like move the fight in one direction and stuff. They can. When their part is called into the fight, these refs can really do some sneaky shit. But the boxing is evolving. They're paying these athletes this kind of money now that you really can't get to these athletes. What are you going to give Gervonta Davis to throw a fight when he's making $39 million a fight? What are you going to pay him? $39 million on top of that? And how much are people gambling on your website? It's just, you're not going to be able to buy him. You could buy amateurs, yeah. College sports, cheat, yes. All day that shit happens. When you get up to this level, that's why they pay him this much money. He could pay his gambling debts. See what I'm saying? So when the referees are showing it, it's usually coming from the country or the state. That shit is coming up from high up politics. Yo, these guys really get into boxing. Boxing goes all the way up. It's something that's part of us in our DNA. Whether you fight or not, there's a part of you that's a small warrior. And everyone loves an underdog story, a fight. And you would not imagine how many people are real true fans of boxing and how much they take it personal for their guy of their city either to lose. Sometimes, your state or your country, the morale could be low, just like Ukraine and all these champions, this boost of Ukrainian champions, right? And that's really boosting the morale out there for them guys, right? Whether people are saying it was given to them or not. That's how boxing in the sport is, And when you think about these situations and referees, I don't really have an answer to fix it. I don't have a solution to this problem, because these referees, they're invited to the mayor's office and shit. And, if their guy goes down, they'll start using ploys like, get in your corner over there. Here, let's wash out the mouthpiece and buying and they do all these things. So, but I don't usually think that it comes from the fighters anymore. I think that a lot of these kind of like incidents are done by like big higher up, a little bit higher up than boxing itself. Yeah, I don't think it's like Devin Haney paying the ref. I don't think it's like, you know what I'm saying? Not like that anymore. It's not like that anymore. I think it's just a lot of bigger guys playing at a bigger stake. Yeah. But look, it's hard because you don't want to mess boxing up and add some type of knee down, timeout, or replay rule. But there's something that needs to be, yeah. I like the instant replay. I like the instant replay because the instant replay, you can't beat film. You know what I'm saying? And instant replay can always challenge the ref's, you know, mistake, because human makes human errors. So what if the ref did not see it? He didn't see the punch, or he didn't see that it wasn't a headbutt. They're about to award this guy, you got a gash and you guys collided on the inside. He thinks it's a punch. That could be a 10-8 round for that guy. Instant replay will take that away from him. Instant replay is going to show, no, it was a clash of heads. You're not getting award the punch or the cut with the blood, because those are points. You see? So a system to fix the refs, that's got to be a tough one. That's got to be a tough one. The best system to fix the referee's problem, knock your opponent out. There you go. You don't want the refs in it? You don't want to deal with them? Take care of business. There's nothing a ref can do. Nothing a judge can do. They might as well rip them scorecards up. And you take 5. You're not going to be needed. When you got men like Subriel Matias rocking 100% knockout ratio, you got men like Naoya Inoue just knocking out multiple champion after multiple champion. Do we sit here when we watch and talk about a Naoya Inoue fight? Do we talk about the refs? Do we talk about the scoring in the fight? When's the last time we talked about the refs or the scoring in the fight and the Naoya Inoue guy? Donaire? Donaire won. That was the last time. That's a man taking care of business. Fighters going into fights. The Josh Taylor fight the other night with Jack Catterall, Bob Arum. He's such a colorful old man, and he's a little cute old man. He was so mad. These scorecards are right, like fucking Bob Arum, right? I can see why he's pissed, right? By an eye test being there, I thought Josh Taylor won the fight. A second look, I can see where the judges, and when I watched my own live, I rewatched my own live. I was noticing in the live, I was telling you guys, yo, he's hitting Josh Taylor with these last little bit of shots that are snapping his head back. I bet you he's stealing those rounds. Sure enough, he was. And look, a lot of people said justice was served. Being the fact that they robbed Jack Catterall in the first fight, they feel justice was served. That's not how you should look at things. That's not the way I want a victory. I don't want a victory saying, oh, you gave it to me? You felt bad for me because you robbed me the last fight. So what you're saying is you gave me this fight? So by default, I win this fight? You don't want that kind of win. You don't want that kind of win attached to why you won. And I understand that Bob Arum is going to speak, better about his own fighter. Okay. You see, he had a little right to be mad with the scorecards and these officiating. Bob Arum was, he was a little emotional though. As a promoter, he knows when to lay it on thick. And he was just laying it on thick. Bob Arum, right? Do I believe he'll never bring a fighter out there? Nah. 24, 48 hours, he'll calm down. He'll take a nap on the plane on the way back. and it's business as usual. Trust me. Bob Arum is a businessman before anything else. He's real emotional. He's the type of guy that gets he becomes a prisoner in the moment. Every time he watches a fight, he tells himself the same exact thing. Bob Arum, I'm not going to be a prisoner of the moment, and he does it again. Right? So Bob just got upset, man. You know what I'm saying? But you know, those scorecards were a little they were a little off. They were a little off. I felt. But uh, in the end, Jack Catterall wins. Where does he go from here? I was saying that he should fight Devin Haney, and that Devin Haney should fight Jack Catterall. But now that I know that Sandor Martin is going to fight Devin Haney, he's the number one contender. He's the one that WBC deems him as his next fight. So Devin Haney has a big fight on his hands. You know, wow. Coming off a loss like that for Devin Haney, coming off a loss like that, and then coming into the number one rank opponent, that's going to be a little tough for multiple reasons. Not just on Devin Haney's, side, right? But as Sandor Martin, he has extreme confidence after seeing that kind of performance. He's just Sandor Martin's like, man, Devin, this dude exposed you. You're done. You're finished. We know you can't deal with pressure. You can't deal with power. And we have you in a position where that your mind checked out, you no longer make adjustments. You settle into the fight. You could see at the end of that fight with Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, he had checked out the fight. Ryan Garcia is sitting there, flapping his legs, sticking out his tongue, right? There was just no more fight in him. He didn't have anything else to go forward. He was just waiting to get out of that nightmare. So and then now they're gonna have him coming in with Sandor Martin. He's a tough out. If not, I thought if they were to meet, he might be able to beat Devin Haney without that loss, without the loss from Ryan Garcia. I was thinking he was the one that was gonna maybe upset the cart on young Devin Haney. I would have never predicted it was going to be Ryan Garcia. I'm just keeping it 100, before it happened. Now that it did happen and all this stuff is transpired, it's funny though, because today on ESPN News, right? And look at ESPN News, right? Look at these right? Check it out, right? And this is why I do this. This is one of the reasons why I do this YouTube channel right here. Why I bring boxing education to the people. This is one of the reasons right here. I get up, I look at ESPN. ESPN announced that Ryan Garcia is the number 2 140 pounder in the world. ESPN announced it. The worldwide leading in sports. These dirty motherfuckers, they know who they are. ESPN is ESPN. That is one of the it is the biggest sports platform in the world. They cover everything. Okay? ESPN knows exactly who they are. And whatever ESPN says, the people are going to take it in. Today, they said Ryan Garcia is the number 2 ranked 140 pounder in the world. And most people that saw that interview on ESPN is going to believe that shit. Well, okay, let's check it out. Let's see who really has the say-so in boxing. You know who really has the say-so in boxing? The sanctioning bodies and the ranking system, right? No. It's not gonna go. Sorry about that. Who really has the say so are the ranking sanctioning bodies, right? Okay. As far as today goes, right? If we would go to the IBF ranking system, okay, uh, let's look up 140 pounds. Yep, 140. Okay. At 140 pounds, um, Ryan Garcia is not even ranked. He's not ranked by no major sanctioning body at all. But ESPN has no problem going on national TV, looking into the camera and saying Ryan Garcia is ranked the number two 140-pound ranked fighter in the world. Where do they get that from? Where are they seeing that Ryan Garcia is the number two 140-pound fighter in the world? If his last two fights scheduled at 140, he never made weight. He never actually fought at 140 pounds. In fact, if you were to go to, let's say, the WBC, where's the WBC? I have it right here. Here. If you were to go to the WBC website and you were to look up the 140-pound ranking, it's going to show you that Devin Haney is their champion at 140 pounds, right? Okay. They have it listed. The last time Devin Haney fought for the title defense or won the title, his last professional fight for title defense, right? They have his last title defense, Regis Progress. The last um his last fight when he won the belt. That means that the title was never on the line with Ryan Garcia. That means Ryan Garcia missed weight. That means Ryan Garcia broke the contract. That means that there was no title on the line. You understand? The WBC, which I believe has wants to put their belt against around Ryan Garcia. And I thought they would have Ryan Garcia ranked high on their ranking. And I was about to criticize them. They don't got Ryan Garcia in the top 40. In the WBO, they don't have Ryan Garcia ranked. In the WBA, they don't have Ryan Garcia ranked. IBF, Ryan Garcia is not ranked. He's not ranked for any major sanctioning body. And that's the truth as of today. As of today on their website and every major, he's not ranked. But the ESPN, they got no problem looking at you and saying, yeah, Ryan Garcia is the ranked number two 140 pounder in the world. My only question was, where the fuck were they getting this ranking system if they're not just pushing out their own agenda? If they're not trying to push out the next superstar? This is how ESPN manipulates people and your thought and how you're viewing it. But the truth is, what ranking system are you using? Because it's obvious you're not using the ranking system that you pay into as a professional athlete, which is the sanctioning bodies. And I believe that's the only ranking system that should count. Just like ESPN puts up with association with who? Top Rank, Bob Arum. They like this. Top Arum, Top Arum and Bob Rank, Top Rank and Bob Arum put out their list on ESPN for their pound for pound fighters, right? And it's a coincidence. There's a lot of top rank fighters up there. Yeah. It's all just ploys for business and trying to push their fighters out there. You know, Ryan Garcia is not a top ranked fighter. He's a golden boy fighter, right? Okay. But that doesn't mean he's not marketable by everyone. Ryan Garcia on your platform, ESPN, whatever, right? He brings clicks, views, and likes, doesn't he? It's a business at the end of the day. But I start to question a lot of things that ESPN started saying. Just like I think it all started with that Manny Pacquiao incident that we spoke about when, like, a year ago, I made that video on Manny Pacquiao. And they had Max Callahan, a real boxing analytic kind of guy, I've respected Max's opinion for years. I viewed Max Callahan as a guy that's been around the sport. There was a point in time I didn't even question what he said. Whenever Max Callahan would speak on ESPN, yup, it's got to be the truth. That's fucking Max Callahan right there. I used to say, right? So what happened was when I went to do a follow-up story on Max Callahan's story on Manny Pacquiao being an 8 division world champion, and I went into the story looking for it to like I felt like Max Cunningham didn't dig deep enough to Manny Pacquiao and give him the kind of credit for what that is. That's some Superman like shit right there. You mean to tell me there was a human being on planet Earth that really got a real world title in 8 separate weight divisions? You got to stop what you're doing to acknowledge some shit like that. That's some outer world shit. There's never been a human that can do anything like that. And I found that like in boxing, knowing physically how and how hard that would be to do, right? Look at the best fighters in the world, only got like 5. Mayweather, Naoya Inoue only got 4, and this guy had 8. He had 4 more than him. And I was just like, wow, that was so amazing. So when Max Callahan did that story, I just doubled back on his research, on his homework, and I started finding out different things. And it really opened my eye to some of these stories ESPN puts out. And I was like, if they lied about this, what else have they lied about? And now I view ESPN and I'm looking at them like, all the time, because I see what it is now. Unfortunately, they'll come out ESPN and tell you and give you all kinds of stat of why LeBron should be better than Jordan. And they got millions of people actually like out there saying, yeah, somehow LeBron is even close to Jordan, right? It's crazy, right? Because my only exception in order for him to pass Jordan, there was only one qualification since the beginning of my argument. Get 6 rings, and we're talking after that. Until you do that, we don't have anything to talk about. So all the numbers, he's been in the league for 900 years. If he didn't get that point score title, man, I would have looked at LeBron like, bro, what the fuck have you been doing in the NBA? You should have got you, bro. They gave birth to you on a basketball court and then broke the rule for no other human to come in after high school. After LeBron comes in, they made it illegal to do that after that. He was like the last person. So he had the best shot to break that record. That, in fact, the real Laker that had the record, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right? He didn't come in like that. He did it on the up and up, like every shot for shot. You know what I'm saying? He didn't come in at 9 years old into the NBA, right? But that's all I was saying. I only understand one thing, championships. That's it. There's, if you start letting other things into the argument, you'll be arguing about everything fucking else. Their style, their technique, what they did in the game, none of that shit matters. None of it. Not how he dunked with his tongue out, not the dominance joint, nothing. The only thing that matters is 6 rings. When you get there, then we talk. That's it, right? So when they said Manny Pacquiao had those 8, like fucking, I was just like, that is some next level superhuman shit. And I had to look it up, and boy, was I crushed. It was one of those moments where that I realized wrestling was fake as a child. I realized Santa Claus wasn't real. It was kind of like one of those moments. It was kind of like watching Mike Tyson go down against Buster Douglas. I cried. I cried. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. That was a bad night for me. It's when you find out that Superman can't fly. This whole time they told me Superman could fly, and I found out he couldn't fly. And it was one of those kind of moments. It's what led me to give back and to try to make a boxing channel that I wasn't biased but critical on boxing situations. I'll speak up against boxing situations. I'll speak up against boxers. I'll be critical to their performance. But there's two sides to the coin always. These men and women come in the ring and they give it their all the time. And I will not take that away from any fighter, even from the guy that went in there and got knocked out 25 times. I commend you for at least trying to live your dream. You know, some of us don't even get the ability to do that. And some of us, it was taken away from us, you know? So these guys are warriors, you know, and it sucks to watch the referee steal a fight from us or a moment. And it pisses you off. It does. The referee and the judges in some points, but I gave you the answer to that. Knock your opponent out and you will eliminate the referee and the judges. And that's what separates the men and women that are doing it at an elite level. Then you got these other guys that are good, but not technically finishing off their fighters. But what they are elite at is running their mouth, you know. And it seems like most of these guys like to run their mouth. They want the credit from a fighter such as a Terence Crawford, Naoya Inoue, Subriel Matias, but they want to fight like Devin Haney. But they want all the recognition in the world. Shakur Stevenson, I'm right here at the point where I'm tired of saying, yo, he's an exceptional talent. He's a great fighter, but he wants the credit and he talks like a Naoya Inoue and a Terence Crawford, which is Shakur Stevenson, one of his right-hand mans. And he wants to be praised like that, but they're not putting in the work. And, you know, I can't say anything else. You know, look, Terence Crawford's coming into this fight at 154 pounds. He looks amazing. He looks amazing. I was watching some of his training video leading into this fight right here. He's starting to prepare. He really wants to kind of pack on the weight. And if anybody can teach him how to pack on the weight, is his coach Bowman, right? Right? Homeboy's huge, but he's a big boy. He knows how to pack on some weight, right? So what Terence wants to do is be able to pack on the weight, but still move and feel like Terence Crawford. You know, he doesn't want to lose too much and gain a little power. If he can gain a little power on top of the power he already has, okay, lose no speed. And I don't believe he's going to lose anything else in the ring. One thing Terence Crawford is and does have at a very high level is a ring IQ. He knows how to feel out his opponent. He knows how to make reads. And one thing that when Terence Crawford fights, like, you know, he uses it more when he's fighting like your more traditional boxer counter puncher type guy, right? And then he has them shelling up. One thing Terence Crawford does very, 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 very well is his distance management. How much distance it is to throw the best punch with the greatest torque and that it has the most effect. He doesn't like stump his punch. You know what I'm saying? He throws it at the right distance, and he has a real good knack for that. And it separates him from a lot of men. Where that we saw that Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall the other night, they were throwing punches and they were leaning into each other, which was gonna. I saw it. It was gonna cause a clash of heads, right? Terence Crawford doesn't lean like that. No, he fights like, you know, like a little taller. But when he leans like Floyd, he gives you the perception that he's a lot closer, but his feet are a little bit back. And what he's doing, he's leaning with his chin, not so much with his back. He's like leaning forward with his chin like this, not like this. There's a difference. And when he leans like that, he can pull counter. The guy thinks he's closer. He throws the punch. He pulls back, counters. He's very good at that. Not a lot of men can pull that off. You would like to think you can pull it off in your head like a fucking ninja, right? That's not easier. That's easier said than done. Most men get tagged in the face trying to time it. Whap. Oh, I was supposed to pull back there, you know. So, but fighters like that, Terence Crawford, Naoya Inoue, that's what separates them from all the fighters. If you haven't, Terence Crawford has knocked out everyone he's faced in like the last 10, 12 fights. Everyone. He hasn't gone the distance in no fight. The Sean Porter fight was the only fight that they threatened. And I think he was actually showing Sean Porter mercy in the fight, being a brother, being a fellow, American fighter in arms, type shit. He was actually cool with Sean. He didn't really, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't really like that kind of like fight. You know what I'm saying for him? Sean Porter showed him respect all the way going into the fight. After the fight, he just wanted to compete with him. Sean Porter's father felt that he wasn't fighting the end of the fight the way he should have been. I don't know what he was saying. Oh, he didn't fight the whole fight the way I wanted him to. No, Sean Porter, at some point in that fight, he was winning the fight. So I don't know what his father was saying. Maybe he was saying the last few rounds, the way he was doing it the last few rounds. Maybe that's what he meant. So yeah. I know. Yeah, I've seen Naoya Inoue's exhibition fights. When I saw that fight, okay, I was gonna talk about it, but seeing that Naoya Inoue's fights, exhibition fights out there, I think it's 3 rounds with headgear and 3 rounds with no headgear. That's how they do it out there. Or is it 3 1 round or something like that? I forget how the way it was. But when they do their exhibitions out there in Japan, they start the fight off with headgear. Then they fight like 3 rounds like that. Then they take the headgear off. Then they go at it a little bit, right? I don't know if the rounds were 3-minute rounds. I think they were 2-minute rounds. Okay. I remember looking this up quite some time ago. And Naoya Inoue does this to stay sharp in between fights when he starts to have and he starts to notice he didn't get like those 6 months fights like he's been banging them out lately. He's been fighting, right? But before that, and the Corona epidemic, and then him being for Japan, not being able to get opponents to fight him, right? He would have these exhibitions, Naoya Inoue. And in these exhibitions, he would come in heavier and he would fight against either a former world champion. He fought that Philippine guy that was a former world champion. And he looked good. He looked strong. But I never brought that up or judged them on that because I know from experience, you can't emulate fight night in a sparring match. You can't emulate it. It's not the same thing. That guy is not fighting Naoya Inoue the same. He's not even approaching the fight the same. He's probably taking more chances in the exhibition than he would in the real fight. Plus, either Naoya Inoue is not in boxing fighting shape, he's out of weight. He's probably like 135 pounds, upwards up there. And this guy is not at a world class level. So, although, you know, realistically, they're both even, it's just not real fight night material type fight. But you can learn a lot from that. And what you can take away from that is what I took away from it was he can make this weight. He could fight at this weight. He's just got to, pack it on right. He still feels fast at this weight. It's like when you work out. I'm not sure if any of y'all ever worked out. When I worked out, I was under the bench, right? And the first time I ever benched 225 pounds, the 245 plates, first time I ever benched it, right? I never could get it. I could never get it, never get it. I'm in the gym every day. I can never get it, right? And one day I took like 2 weeks off or whatever, and I was in the gym by myself, not even with my workout partner. And this dude came over, and me and him, we working out. He just puts it on, thinking I can lift it. Bro, I benched that shit like 3 times. He leaves. I go into the locker room. I start yelling. Ah! I'm like, yeah. I didn't let him know. I in front of him. It was like, yeah, I do this every day, every day. Yeah, man. That's nothing. Easy money. First time I've ever lifted, right? right, right. So you know, you got to see if how he does. So what I took away from that when I saw him fighting against that guy, I said to myself, all right, two things. He obviously wasn't going hard. He didn't knock the guy out. Naoya Inoue wasn't trying to knock him out. Naoya Inoue was trying to get work in. Naoya Inoue was probably practicing on a few things. Do I think that that guy would have lasted against Naoya Inoue in a real fight? No, no. But it's good to see that that guy, no matter what, I can guarantee you one thing: that guy was trying. Anyone that gets in a ring with Naoya Inoue, shit, you put me in the ring with him on a sparring match, I want to see how I fare with a person like that. I need to see for myself what's everything everybody's talking about. I know it. I would be not now, like right now with what I know. I'm not getting in the ring with him now, right? But if I was a young kid and I was coming up and I heard about this dude, yeah, he would have to show me. I'd be a victim probably, yeah. But I would try. You know why? Because of who he is. He calls me out. Hey, Edwin, come out here and spar with the champion. Naoya Inoue. He has all 4 belts. You fucking right. I'm going out there. The experience and what I learned. If I can see a man at that level, I know he exists. If once I bench that 225, the next time I lift it, I knew I could lift it. I knew it. I lifted that 3 times. When I got up with my boys, they knew they thought I was gonna fail. Nah. I broke that mental thing. They was like, oh shit, you got it. I'm like, man, I've been getting this, right? I'm talking shit, right? Right? But once you do something, you're over that hurdle. You know you can go that much further. You know you can do that. So Naoya Inoue, when he sees that he can fight these guys at a much bigger weight and he feels their power and he feels the way he moves and he's going to know he can do it. And that right there, he just got to put it on right. I believe he's going to be a real dominant champion when it's all said and done. I do believe he is going to go up to 126, And back to that, touching that story with Manny Pacquiao. Can you guys honestly tell me, right? Manny Pacquiao was an exciting fighter. He was an exciting fighter. I love me some Manny Pacquiao, bro. Um, I think he's just one of the most fan pleasing fighters there ever was. He always came to fight, right? But honestly, do you think that he's better than Naoya Inoue? I think Naoya Inoue's style, his technical boxing ability is better than Manny Pacquiao. But their hearts are the same. Their warrior spirit are the same. They're the same kind of man, that no quit, go forward. Naoya Inoue is gonna get caught one day, and he did against Luis Pantera Nares. He's just like a samurai, bro. He's just gonna go forward. He's gonna give you opportunities, and he does put himself in like the fire, to deliver. A lot of boxers don't take those kind of chances because there's a lot of risk in what that Japanese dude is doing. And then they want to criticize him. Oh, he got touched up. He got hit here. Yes, he did. But I believe he got touched up because he was entering the fire, trying to knock out his opponent, not playing it safe, staying on the outside. No, He's moving in for the kill. In some cases, when you do that, you can get something back in return. He's not waiting for his opponent to be beat down through a course of a period of all night. No, you wobbled one time. And as we all know, just because you wobbled doesn't mean you're technically hurt. You know, he could have wobbled you, but you still, it's in the first 2-3 rounds. You're like in the fight, right? It hasn't been a course of events, right? So you see, and he's coming in on you when you're strong, so you got an opportunity to catch him. But you know, these kind of fighters like this, you know, that's what makes fighting and boxing exciting. You know, I man, every time I see this Japanese dude fight, man, every single time he takes me out of my seat. I gotta admit that. You know, there are a lot of fighters right now. Look, um, where does Ryan Garcia go from here after this? Is all said and done. I already told you guys what was gonna happen from day one. My story has not changed, and the outcome will be exactly what I said it was gonna be, word for word. I got receipts. I got videos. I was confident with it. I've seen this happen over 1,000 times in boxing, in different countries, states, cities, with different fighters. I seen it happen. I watched it happen with Saul Canelo. I watched it happen with Conor Ben. I watched it happen. All these fighters. What made me think Ryan Garcia was going to be treated any different? No, he tested positive. That's it. Is all we have to discuss now is how much is the fine and how long is the suspension. That's it. You know what I mean? And of course, to Ryan Garcia's legal team, which is going to be, he has to provide how it got into his system. If he cannot provide how it got into his system and they do not come to a conclusion, then he's 100% guilty. You guys do know that, right? Yeah, they have to find where it came from. If you can't provide that, if you don't know what you were drinking, you're hiding something. And if you're not hiding anything, give me everything you took. We need to test everything you took. If you got nothing to hide, Ryan, he really needs to be working with these investigators to try to clear his name and to try to get it as a tainted substance, to try to find the source. Stop thinking everybody's trying to out to get you. Conspiracy theory. That kind of theory is going to get Ryan Garcia fucked up. You know why? Because they're going to say, keep thinking your conspiracy theory and never give us any evidence on that this was an accident, then we're going to fill in the blanks for you since you don't want to cooperate. Okay? That's just like saying you go to your parole's office and he tells you pee in a cup and you say no. Are you clean? Or are you going back to jail? You don't pee in that cup. What you think's going to happen? They going to send your ass back to jail. They're going to get tired of your shit. This is not the Ryan Garcia show. If he can't prove where that shit came from, well, then you're guilty. That's it. Move on. You will be listed as a cheater. That with Devin Haney. Devin Haney's still going to take the loss. You know, I don't know where all these people are thinking that this is going to be a no contest. You know, there hasn't been an issue or no contest since like 2016, which was that one rare occasion. After that, like, you know, unless it's announced in the ring, like in the moment, they're like, oh, we stopped the whole. This bout was deemed a no contest. Yes, they do that all the time. But as far as the fight concluding, ending, then some controversy comes up, and then they deem the fight a no contest. Do yourself a favor. Google when's the last time that shit happened. Google that. And then if you find one, Google when's the last time that shit happened. That shit is rare than fuck. And usually when shit like that gets overturned, it's in these countries you've never heard of. It's like in some, you know, Middle East, you know, but in the US, in the USA, and you think these people are gonna come on, man, let's not live in fantasy island. Don't do that to yourselves. Don't believe all these things. No, we're past all that. We're past all that. Ryan Garcia is getting a fine. He's being suspended. That's it. And then when you see how these media people are, right? They're going to quickly try to get your attention and from false stories. They're going to go on box record and it's going to say Ryan Garcia indefinitely suspended, right? What they don't tell you is that same wordage, the same yellow bar, and the same way it says it, so and so is indefinitely suspended. They do that to every single boxer on planet Earth. They won't tell you that though. The reason why you get that yellow line on box records is because the Boxing Athletic Commission suspends you until they have a doctor examine you, see your extent of your injury, and then they give you what they call suspension to protect. Like Ryan Garcia got 6 months suspension after being knocked out with Tank Davis. When you went back to Ryan Garcia's fight, it said he was indefinitely suspended. Every fighter, every UFC fighter, after every UFC card, I dare you, go look at them right after the fight on their website. Every man and woman that fought on that night is indefinitely suspended. Till everything comes back. Your blood work, you were looked at by the doctor, and you were cleared. And then when all that, then they tell you when you can come back. And those rules were put in place to protect the fighter from themselves. Because boxers, they'll go out there and get knocked out, and a month later they'll hop back in the ring. They're gonna, fuck themselves up. You need time to heal from a concussion, depending on how bad the concussion is too. So, boxers don't care. They're, oh no, I feel good, I'm going in. They don't understand why they got knocked out easier the next time. You needed time to. So that's what that is. But they'll go on, make a whole YouTube thing of why they indefinitely kicked Ryan Garcia out of boxing because of his cheating PEs. Yo, I was laughing so hard. I couldn't believe there was actually a channel that tried to pull that one off. I mean, to debunk that was so easy to debunk it. Like, wait a minute. Don't they give that indefinite suspended warning label to every fighter that fights? You're like, yeah. Oh man, this dude just saw the label and ran with the story that Ryan Garcia definitely got suspended. I was like, but I was like, why would a person do that? Like, I can come out and like make a whole video on calling this guy a liar. You know what I'm saying? I could blatantly just be like, yo, you're full of shit. They do this, but I don't got time for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's what they want to get clicks and likes, lies, to make a whole video about a fucking, it's just crazy. So I was just like, all right, cool. But look, man, here on One Sports Talk, we just bring facts and the truth. Ryan Garcia is not going to be suspended any more amount of time than what they're going to issue. Whatever that's going to be, I don't work there. I don't hand out suspensions. I have no idea as far as that goes. But I already told you guys what was going to happen. Word for word, it's going to happen the exact way I said it. It's just, this was easy. This was easy to determine for me. It's just, there's things called rules and history. And history has a habit of repeating itself, right? With the same rules. Yeah, I think it's going to be the same outcome. There's not much to go on there, but yeah. And then look, guys, you got Subriel Matias coming into this fight with Liam Parro, right? June 15 in Puerto Rico. A lot of people are talking about Liam Parro now. And they're saying that Liam Parro, in fact, is a live dog in this fight. They're saying that they believe most people that I talked about this fight with, this is what they said. In a rough sense. Everyone believes Liam Paro is going to come out and fight the first half of the fight really well. Their only concern is whether or not he can sustain the damage that a fighter such as Subriel Matias is going to inflict on him, and whether or not he's going to be able to endure that all night and get his shit off. In fact, some people are saying that Liam Parro is going to stop Subriel Matias in this fight. Yeah. Okay. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm not looking at that as a joke neither. Right. I smile. Yeah. Because, I'm like, man, I find that hard to believe. But you know what? They must see something in Liam Parro I really don't see. I see Liam Parro as a great opponent. He was the guy that signed on the dotted line. He took the fight. At least I could say that about Liam Parro too. That he took this fight and he's not here to be a punching bag. That much I know. Another thing, I was looking at Liam Parro and on his interviews, there's a difference between guys that are confident and there's a thing between shit talkers. And people can get confused. When you see a shit talker, he talks a lot of shit. He's real good at it. Man, this guy must be tough, right? And with experience, you could see through that shit, right? Liam Parro is none of that. He's not a shit talker. He's not. So I was looking in his eyes and I was saying to myself, he's a tough kid. Liam Parro's a tough kid. He's chasing his dream on this one. This is not a fight where he took it because he needed the money. He took the fight because no one else would take it. Nah. Liam Parro took this fight because he saw an opportunity. He saw an opportunity achieving his dream. And Liam Parro is going into Puerto Rico, a real live dog, bro. He's going to go inside of Puerto Rico and he's going to give it everything. In his head, he's not leaving Puerto Rico without that IBF belt strapped to his waist with his hands raised in victory. Liam Parro has been in the gym and he has sparred against some of the best top fighters in the world. Fighters like Shakur Stevenson. He sparred against fighters like that already. Liam Parro has worked with a lot of boxers in and around that are active and upcoming prospects. He's not no tomato can. You might not know who Liam Parro's name is if you are familiar with him or if you're not. I just want you to know that Liam Parro on his side of the world was taking his side of the world business. He, Subriel Matias is a rising star in itself. Subriel is not, I wouldn't say a household name just yet. I believe he's a star. And in certain circles, everyone knows who Subriel the Boogeyman is. Subriel Matias comes from Fajardo, Puerto Rico. He's had a tough upbringing. He had a brother of his that was brutally shot in gang violence. He went to prison. He did a lot of soul searching and he went back to a sport where that at least allowed him to get off a lot of his aggression and anger that was built up. It was like, you mean to tell me you're going to allow me to beat this guy up? Put the gloves on me. Like, I'll do this shit for free. One of those kind of guys. And Subriel, he started moving up throughout the divisions. And there was a fight that was really supposed to put Subriel Matias closer to a title fight. Unfortunately, on that night, he fought Mad Max Dervichek. And in that night, you know, uh, his brother in boxing, there was a tragic accident and he lost his life in the ring. In that time, Subriel Matias had to take a step back and he really had to do a lot of soul searching. It wasn't the type of feeling where he thought that it would make him stronger. In fact, it made everyone around him a little bit more weary about the sport he was in. His mother saying, "Son, I'm not looking at you as a killer. I'm looking at you like it could happen to you." This could have went different. Mad Max Derechek could have killed Subriel Matias, and we would be interviewing Subriel's wife and his three daughters. Okay, so Subriel understood that, but the ghost of what happened, and it soon started to catch up with him, and he couldn't get it all together. He soon unraveled. He came into a fight with a Pedro Ananya, and quickly you could see he wasn't even like in the best of shape. But you could see his warrior spirit and his, won't give up attitude was always there. Subriel was always a warrior. It was always in him. It was whether or not he had put everything in his conditioning. He even admitted later on that he was smoking weed, not training as much because of that night playing in his head so much with Mad Max Derechek. You know, um, then when he suffered his first career loss, he really he really had to bite down, so to speak, on the mouthpiece, as we use an expression in boxing, and really get serious with his career. Subriel Matias locked in, laser focus, and he just has been on a dominant run throughout the 140-pound weight division. Where that, in fact, his last five opponents, he made all retire and quit. His new nickname is Subriel No Mas Matias. It used to be Subriel the Boogeyman Matias, but now it's changing to Subriel No Mas Matias. Coming into this fight against Liam Paro, I was asked, what do you think is going to be the outcome of this fight? And I said, listen, I'm not going against anything else. I'm going with the No Mas. I believe he's going to make Liam Paro quit. And he's like, you think so? And I'm like, well, since his last five fights has not changed, and there's nothing else that says any otherwise. It wasn't like he made three guys quit, went knocked out the next guy, made the next guy quit. You know what I'm saying? There were like gaps in between making the guys quit. No, this is the last consecutive five fighters, and there's some big names on those five fighters. Jukumbai, Pedro Ananya. Come on, bro. There are some big names in those five fighters that he may quit. Hitchinson. Come on, listen. So did I mess up his name again? I have a tendency of doing that. Did I say Hitchinson? It wasn't. That's not his name. Anyway, move on. So, Subriel has a habit of making these guys quit. So I was like, man, I don't see no other way. But I do know one thing. I do know one thing. Subriel Matias has 20 professional fights, right? And in 20 professional fights, he hadn't needed the referee or the judging not once. There has never been an issue with bad officiating, right? Well, that knockdown that they gave somebody at the standing 8 count, that motherfucker, right? I guess like that, yeah, right? Come to think about it, he kind of shows it. Had it not been for that standing bullshit 8 count against Pedro Anaya in the first fight, that fight might have been a draw. It could have been a draw. I think it was going to be a draw. Yeah, or Subriel was going to win, because I felt like Subriel was doing better work at the first. Okay, I felt Subriel did work from rounds. He did ring technically win round 1, but 2, 3, and 4 he won. Right. I felt like Derbycheck started to come on. You know what I'm saying? In the middle parts of the half of the rounds, he was, but and then Subriel was right with him. They were right there with each other. I think, and there was some rounds I was saying that Pedro Ananya was doing better work on the inside on Matias in that fight. I remember that. I remember saying that in the fight, but I didn't feel like he won the fight. Pedro Ananya. I didn't feel like he won it, and I didn't even feel like that knockdown was even merit. Let him go down. You put Subriel down, bro. He should have let him put him down, man. That fucking knockdown. So anyway, they ran it back, and it was good. They met up 2 years later. Pedro was my man enough and was like, yo, I'll give you that. Which, you know, some of these guys since fighting Subriel Matias have been doing good. Did you see Jukumbai, bro? Did you see that dude fighting the other night? Okay. Some of these guys are really making they're gonna make big runs for some of these titles. Teofimo Lopez is gonna have to pull his own weight in this fucking weight division. He's gonna have to start fighting some of these guys. All this fucking beating your chest off of one Jack Catterall victory, brother, and fighting these guys that I mean, Teo's guy, the guy he's fighting is no well. Sometimes I look at that fight and I'm just like, I think it could be a cherry pick gone wrong. So look, Tio has a problem for me that he does when it's not a big name. He has these fucking lackluster performances, man. For me, he did like that. For me, the guy has to have a big name to get the best out of Tio. And then when you hear these guys' name, that shit scares me because that's just like a fucking George Camboza type fight shit, and I'm just like, here we go again. Tio, you're going to pick one of these guys with not such a big name, and that's the guy that's going to beat him. Because for some reason, he just, unless it doesn't say Loma, you know what I mean? Tio's not fighting the fight, at least I believe he should be fighting. And that worries me sometimes because, like the Naoya Inoue kid said, he said, I need maximum effort. I can't take no tuna fight. It's amazing, right? When I went back and I was looking at Naoya Inoue's contract, right? They were talking about it. I didn't actually see the contract, right? It was his promoter was telling the story when he first signed them at the Okinawa gym. That's where he fights in Japan. So the guy signs Naoya Inoue, and his father says, yo, listen, the only way we're going to sign with you, there's only one stipulation in my son's contract. Only one stipulation. We don't want no easy fights. We don't want no tune-up fights. We don't want no easy fights. And we want the quickest shots at all champions. If the champion says yes, we want to fight the champion right away. We don't need any tune-up fights, any warm-up, none of that shit. And that's what happened. What the? Listen, I. What's up? Koki, what up, baby? How you doing? You can buy what? They've all been on winning streaks. When you can see that Ponce, Jukumbai, Pedro Ananya, all those guys are winning after Subriel Matias, what's that tell you? What's that tell you? If it was Subriel Matias, these guys would be in. If it wasn't for Subriel Matias, no one else is beating them, those kind of guys. If it wasn't for Subriel cleaning out the 140, because he's the only one that's doing it. What is Josh Taylor, Teal's only claim to fame? And Regis Progress is Devin Haney's claim to fame. The fighter that Josh Taylor beat. There's no other 140-pound champion that's doing it quite like him. Isa Pitbull Cruz, although he's pretending to be a 140-pound champion of the world, I think that he should really, think about what he needs to be doing and go back down to 135. He has the WBA title at 140, right? The WBA champion at 135 soon officially is going to be Tank Davis. He has the interim. He was notified and upgraded But in order to complete the ceremony, he must beat Frank the Ghost Martin and be awarded that belt around your waist in the ring. They have to put the waist on your belt. Did you see Esau Pitbull Cruz just get his belt in the mail? That was dope as shit, man. Um, he had like a little ceremony in Mexico, I think it was, and he finally got his belt for beating Rolly. It took him this long to mail him the belt and to make it because, they order it, they make it. Those are the real deal ones right there and shit. So they mailed him his belt. He had like a copy or replica when you like win or whatever. I guess Rolly can get his back, right? And then Aesop Pitbull Cruz has to wait for his real one, and it'll say his name on it. So he finally got his belt. He's an official champion at 140. Now you could really lose the weight and go down and really challenge Tank Davis for that 135-pound championship at 135. And he'll get the fight. And the fans will clamor that fight. I'm not sure if Tank Davis wants that fight again because Esau Pitbull Cruz gave him a lot of trouble. He's a much shorter guy. But as far as, yeah, popularity wise, I think Esau can get it. I don't think he should really play around at 140 like that too much. You can only get by for so long before you run into somebody. You know, um, so let's see what happens. Congratulations, though, to Esau Pitbull Cruz, man, for achieving his dream, though. I don't take nothing away from that guy. I don't have anything bad to say about him. He did it at fucking 5'3", 140. Naoya Inoue is 5'5", and he's at 122. Not at 140. This man is all of 5'3". He's the 140-pound champion of the world. So I don't take anything away from that guy at all. So yeah. And then Sarah, look, Sender Martin right now, Devin Haney. I want to close it with this right here. Um, that's a really good fight, and I understand that's his mandatory. There's no way around it. Once they order it, they ordered it. They're gonna make him fight him. Look, Devin Haney, my opinion. Uh, he really just needs to get in there and believe in his skills. He's a very skilled young man. I still think he's one of the most skilled boxers out there right now. Suffering this kind of loss, it can be difficult, but I believe that he's, you, I believe that he should, you know, just do some soul searching, good training. Don't have a lot of yes men in your corner anymore. Tell your dad to at least bring down the volume as far as getting noise brought your way. I believe that your dad, a lot of people might not like Bill Haney, but he's doing exactly what you're supposed to do as a boxing promoter slash manager. You're supposed to be stirring up the beehive, and he has, whether you talking him in a good sense or a bad sense, you're still talking about him, and he's still in your mind. So if he's doing that, I guess he's doing his job correctly. But at a situation like this, you want things to die down a little bit so that Devin Haney can get a little bit of breathing room, so that he can walk outside again and see himself with his head up high. I know he does it anyway, but there's a small part of you that is still dealing with that loss. Trust me when I tell you. And Devin Haney needs to deal with that loss, but not take it so personal. And come back from this. Absolutely. You think that Subriel Matias Catterall? Well, look, listen, that's a good fight. That's a good fight. I like that fight right there. That's two forward pressure kind of type guys, right up Subriel's alley. He doesn't move necessarily all that well, and I think that his footwork is trash. I think he's gonna try to go power for power. When you fight a man like Jack Catterall and you dare to stand in front of him, like Josh Taylor did, see, all Jack Catterall's success in that fight was caused by Josh Taylor. I'm sorry. It's because Josh Taylor was coming in and he wasn't as defensively sound coming in. And all of Jack Catterall's success when he stunned him, everything. It wasn't like Jack Catterall was causing his own opportunities. No, he was leaning back, waiting for him to come in, and he was, counter punching off of him. But it was really due in part to Josh Taylor coming in. He didn't create anything himself in the fight. So I can quickly see that Jack Catterall, you could fight his ego. He's the type of guy that if you stand in front of him, he's gonna want to fight you there, and that's where his downfall would be against a guy like Subriel Matias. It's gonna line up perfect for Subriel Matias. Yes, and as far as the slicker puncher in the inside, Subriel's a master of hitting windows like this big. He slides his punches in between the guard. It's like the window's like this big and he's smacking you right here. He has a knack for it. He's much, much sharper than Jack Catterall in the inside. And he hits a lot harder. Jack Catterall can crack, but not consistently. Not like a Subriel where every punch is like that. Jack got that one, boom, then he has to reset, build it up, boom. Not Subriel. Subriel is like boom, 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 boom. There's a difference. And he'll finish Jack Catterall within the four or 5 rounds. Subriel. Subriel starts fighting in the second round of all his fights. He starts fighting in the second. By the 4th round, these guys look like they've been in the 8-round fight already. He's putting double the damage on these guys, and they're not even entering 9th, 10th, 11th round. No, if you haven't noticed, look what these guys were looking like by the 5th round, by the 6th round. Look what Pedro and Nanya, they were all like this. They were fucked up. Bro, Ponce, by the 4th round, looked like he fought 12 rounds. Yeah. He was just, it's the damage. And I talk about that. And I always say, Subriel Matias could be beatable. I say it all the time. But at what price? At what price? At what price are you willing to pay to put your fighter in there, such a fighter as Subriel Matias, to try to win the fight like that, to take what kind of damage? Your fighter will probably never be the same coming out of that fight. There's a chance of that happening. So it's going to take a lot sometimes, or it could be easy. Catch anybody on the button on the right night. You know what I'm saying? I don't see that happening with Subriel. No, I don't. But I see Liam Parro being strong. He's strong. I think he's strong. He's a dog. He's a dog. I don't see him as a quitter, but neither did I see all last of Subriel Matias' 5 opponents. If you would ask me about all 5 of those men leading into the fight, not one of those men I would ever say, yeah, he got quit inside of him. Because up until that point, I've never seen it in none of those guys' fights. Some of those guys were undefeated coming into fight Subriel Matias, in fact. So one or two of those fighters, he retired. Undefeated fighters, never lost. Fought Subriel once. They had one more fight after that and retired out of the sport. And that's what I mean. At what cost is it going to cost you to put your fighter in with a fighter like that? The damage he puts on those fighters, sometimes it's not worth fighting him. Yeah, because that's a different kind of fight altogether. Yeah. So let's see. Let's see what happens. I think personally, I see the fight playing out like this. Liam Parro coming out having a lot of success in the first round. Yep. I believe Liam Parro is going to come out. He's going to have a lot of success in the first round. I believe 30, 40 seconds in the second round, Subriel Matias is going to start to turn it up. By the time Liam Parro gets out of the first round, leading into the third round, Subriel Matias was already going to start really like putting a beating on him that Liam Parro is going to try to get on his bike and run. If he's successful and he can get out of the third round, fourth round, I think by the fifth round, Subriel Matias would already start um, putting so much damage on him that by the fifth, sixth round, it should be over. And that's how I see the fight. I think Subriel is going to be a little too strong for him. Liam Paro is going to walk into something big, trying to get off his offense and get Subriel's attention. He's going to overcommit to something a little too much for me. And Subriel's going to really capitalize. He's not going to be able to recover from there. That's how I see the fight playing out. Yeah. Well, fight fans, listen. Edwin, so what do you say Pitbull is? I ain't say he ain't no hobbit. He's 5'3" though. Oh, I've seen a lot of chinks in Subriel Matias armor. But when you hear people talk about chinks in some particular fights, armors and stuff, it's usually when they're trying to unravel Superman. Technically, everybody has chinks in their armor. There is no Superman. Even the greatest fighter, pound for pound in the world, whether you believe it's Terence Crawford, Naoya Inoue, they got chinks in their armor too as well. They get hit and they're considered to be the best fighters in all the world. Subriel is not even in that conversation or on a pound for pound list, but yet this is where they have to do to try to break him down to minimize him. He gets hit a lot on the inside. He gets hit a lot for my liking. This, that, and this, that, right? But and then I look at, wait a minute, doesn't he have a 100% knockout ratio? That means no man has ever survived going the distance with this man. Wouldn't that be a 100% effective boxing style? Rather than a fighting style where people are saying, well, I don't think it's the best fighting style. No, it's not the best of what you would like it for you to be. Maybe it's that you don't know what you're looking at, or I don't know what I'm looking at. Maybe it's what I don't understand. That his fighting style, Subriel Matias, he understands it. And just because I may not understand it, and I might say that shit might look sloppy as fuck, or he looks like he doesn't really have no footwork, his jab ain't that great. No, he's figured out maybe you don't actually need all that shit. Maybe you don't need all that footwork. Maybe you don't need that fucking piston like jab to get the job done. Maybe he's showing us if you had a little bit of balls and a good chin and you were willing to mix it up on the inside, this is what you can do. 100% finishing rate. Maybe I don't understand it. And that's why I see chinks in Subriel's armor. But I started to say, doesn't every fighter that got that? Maybe that's not what I should be looking for, rather than acknowledging what he's doing. 100% knockout ratio. Most effective knockout ratio in current boxing. But not a lot of guys doing that. Very small list. I mean, real small. Type of list you can count on one hand type shit. Over 10,000 fighters in the world? Only 2 people are doing it? I guess that's got to speak for something. But yet, I'm going to criticize the guy that got 100% knockout ratio and say what he's doing is flawed. What he's doing shouldn't be working. And I don't like the way he does it. But it's effective to 100%. I'm going to ask myself that question one more time. Who would be right here? The fan that says, or him that has actually 100% knockout ratio? Right? So there's no Superman. Every guy has something to work on. Every guy gets hit. Every guy gets touched up. Styles make fight. Every fight is different. No fight can go in the same way. There can always be something in a fight. There are two men inside of a ring. Anything can happen. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been my pleasure. I am your host, Edwin. Al Simpson Hellspawn. What's up? Matias has the best body combination at 140. He does 36 rounds of sparring with. Oh, listen, look, I look, every fighter trains their own unique way. Some fighters train at altitudes real high so that the oxygen, and the different methods, different fighters. One thing to keep in mind, we are all not the same as humans. Just because you can train this way doesn't mean I can train this way. What works for you may not work for me. I may not ever have your foot style. I may never have your speed, but you may never have my power, or you may never have my eye to eye coordination. You see, we're all different. And I have a habit of judging every fighter on the same standards. When I started opening my third eye for boxing, I started realizing that there's an art in every style. That's why they say styles make fights. They are not the same. No one is the same. And as we watch these men and women move out through the ranks in boxing, we come to find out what style reigns supreme in what weight classes. And those are the answers we want to know. Who is the best? The men and women right now that currently hold the titles are holding a strong argument that they are the best. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please give the videos a like. I've enjoyed myself here. Round One Sports Talk. I hope you have. Please leave a comment below. Tune in with me tomorrow as I come on at 8 o'clock to discuss more boxing. Have a good night out there.